and we are back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about what else? Star Trek. Uh, so today we're focused. We're back on our TOS discussion series after a hiatus over the holidays. So thank you, gentlemen, and lady, for joining me today. It's really wonderful to see you. We have Robbie, also known as Earl Grey Trekkie. The Sub Commander Tall has decloaked to see us today. We have Allison, a brand new guest on the daytime program. So nice to see you, Allison. If you want to get Allison's Star Trek story, she told it to us on Starfleet Boy After Dark. So you can go check out her debut on the Starfleet Boy universe there. And then we have our Dadmiral back in action here. Ian, hello, nice to see you. And I don't know.
This was the Star Trek one. I got totally confused. I thought it was something else.
We have Fothery coming on. He's going to be running a little late. His shuttlecraft. He missed his shuttlecraft, so he had to hop on the next one. So it's just he's going to be a little bit late. And then Ruben's supposed to be here, but I don't see him. I don't know where he is. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Do you guys think it'll should we try that chant from the episode and see if it works on him?
Oh, I think we'll have to give it a go.
We'll have to give it a go. Okay, here we go. All right, it's Hail, fire and snow, call the angel, and we will go far away,
far to see, friendly
angel, come to me. Oh my goodness! What the heck is this?
Doesn't look anything like Melvin Belli.
I am Gorgon. Who has summoned me?
We have, but I think we're gonna have to summon you back, Gorgon. All right, this is your best cosplay for the show ever. I'm so
I had
chuffed.
to bring it for the new year, man.
I'm so delighted.
This is elaborate. This is like I got in-camera effects going on. I was like, I can't play with filters on StreamYard.
I can't believe you did green.
Look, watch this. Look, you see that?
Oh wow! Look at this. Wait, that's on StreamYard. StreamYard.
No, that's in camera, baby. This is all in camera. This is a two-man filmmaking team, two-person. Excuse me. Let's make it correct in the 21st century. So I got whoop.
Wow. Did you have this laying around, or did you assemble this?
I did.
You did? Oh my goodness.
The secret to the filter.
Oh, look at that. That's amazing. That is so,
I didn't have a green one because the green one would have been better.
That's pretty good.
And then some Christmas lights. I'm currently at about 150 degrees, but it's all right. That's what we do for showbiz, people.
I'm so impressed. We'll try to keep it brief. Allison, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it's probably the technology that was used on the original series, number one. And number two, he'll start melting just like the original Gorgon.
By the end of the
episode, We've already got a few folks in the audience, and they're really enjoying your gag, Ruben. So great job. Like, well done.
Happy 2022.
Yeah, happy 2022. Happy New Year to everyone in the audience. Ulysses the Pagan says hello there. And we've got the devil wears a moo. This is your best. Also, so Jill brought her best screen name also to the chat. So this is like pretty epic. The devil wears a moo. That's fantastic. It seems that lawyers make terrible actors. And then the chant is dangerous, man. Yeah, it sure is. Well. That was fun, thank you. And I think we bought Fothery about 5 more minutes, so that was perfect.
It was between this and Grown Up Tommy. But I couldn't decide until the last minute.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, absolutely.
My childhood friend Pablo Martinez says, and Rubens too, what did I just open?
Sorry, Pablo, I couldn't type back to you. As you can see, I was in the middle of something.
Who wants the pleasure? Allison, since you're our newest guest, would you like the pleasure of doing the episode summary, or would you like to let someone else go?
I'll start off. I'll start off, and then other people can add their 2 cents because
I like that, the democratic
anyway,
approach.
the episode, which is the third season, I swear in the third season, they were looking in file drawers for old scripts that they had originally rejected because none of the writers were working at that point. Anyway, at least it wasn't Spock's brain, which was even worse. But anyway, they open on the scene of a planet where a man is dying as they beam down, and all they find is a bunch of kids who are like, who cares what happens? And then they find out that the children are under the sway of an evil spirit that they summon through a chant. But they don't know that, and they take the children and the spirit back up to the ship, where the children try to get the ship to go in one direction, and the crew wants to go in another direction. Starbase 4, I think it was. Anyway, the upshot of it all is they show the evil spirit for what he is, and all the children are crying at the end, which was supposedly a good thing. Anyway, I'm done.
That was actually really great.
Short and sweet.
Obviously, they actually found Ruben for who he actually is.
And I would like to keep it fair and balanced, and evil to some, perhaps not to all.
Wow.
Gorgon thinks he's not evil.
Yeah,
I don't know what Gorgon thinks. Gorgon just thinks like, I got 2% royalties in this contract from a good lawyer.
So this episode is widely considered to be the worst, if not among one of the worst episodes of
I wouldn't say it's the
original
worst. I would actually say the last episode is the worst.
Turnabout.
Turnabout has got to be the worst, but no.
Just spoilers. Starfleet Boy Starfleet Boy TOS discussions will end on a fart, like on a low note. It'll just be like, guys.
I did not agree to do that before.
So I guess let's go around. Everyone, talk about what you thought of this episode. Robbie, would you care to go first?
I was expecting it to be horrible, and I don't think it was horrible. I don't think there was anything interesting in there, but I don't think it wasn't painful to watch. It was just a bit boring for me. There wasn't a lot of substance, and I didn't find the kids annoying, which I thought I might. I just thought they didn't have a lot going on, and then even the boy with the powers, it just felt very paint by numbers, and it didn't feel like a lot of passion that went into the script.
Yeah, like I think that's one of the big critiques is like the script. Nothing really happens of consequence, but I think of I'll go into my thoughts later. But Adam, Subcommander, do you want to tell us your feelings about it?
Yeah, sure, a little bit. I mean, I'm someone who grew up panning this episode and didn't like to see it. I think when you're young, you kind of, I don't know, I didn't like episodes with kids in them when I was a kid, but I didn't have time. I didn't have time to watch this, but what I did is I went and just kind of like skimmed the script over on Chakotay.net, and it's not a terrible script. I mean, I think what this episode is hampered by is some of the performances. I mean, Shatner is a little over the top in this one. He needed to be reined in a bit, and they had a director, Marvin Chomsky, I think, who hadn't directed for Trek before. So Shatner's,
although he had a couple of hits, Chomsky had a couple of hits though. I think the Fall
like westerns,
Guy, westerns and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I think the concept of having this evil using innocent children is I think that's interesting. It could have been done a little better. It could have been a little spookier, but I think that was kind of neat. I mean, it's also hampered by Melvin Belli's very wooden performance, which was a ratings grab. It actually worked. I mean, the ratings for this episode at the time were better than some of the other episodes around it, but he was a terrible performer.
I read that Gene Roddenberry, like when he saw the performance in the rough cuts or whatever, was like, can you guys just like make him super obscured and green and glowing and like so that like
something to make him interesting.
And distort his voice, like they distorted his voice too.
And still the most mind-numbing destroyer of worlds there ever was. I mean, how can you be this boring when you destroyed the whole civilization of Epsilon Nindi or whatever? I think the kids actually do an okay job at performing. It always bothered me that Tommy is so much, Craig Hundley, he's so much older than the other kids. So that always felt awkward when I would watch it. I didn't especially like him, but I thought the little kids they did okay. So, I think there's some things to like about the episode, but it's more interesting to read about it than to see how some of the performances went off for me, at least that I recall. But, like Sulu looking at the screen with the swords, or Uhura being paralyzed just by seeing her reflection as an old lady, that wasn't a huge fan of that, but yeah, it's a third season episode. It is what it is.
Allison.
One of the people who played the children was Melvin Belli's son.
That's right.
The little boy in the blue shirt, potato-faced kid. No, nothing. Yeah, that's it.
He's the one that wanted the pistachio ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there was a quote from him
after the production. It was delicious.
There was a quote from him in the Cushman book. I think he said like he didn't even want to be there. His dad was making him do it, or wanted to. And he said other families would go do fun stuff like go on vacation. Our family, we went and we were on Star Trek for a couple days. Like, okay. So we did weird things like that. But yeah, but I still thought he was okay as a kid.
That's funny. And the kid the older kid, doesn't he also play Kirk's nephew, right? So there's a return in Operation Annihilate. I didn't realize. So it looks like Melvin Belli was in a lot of things. It's like crazy, but yeah, he's terrible. He's a really bad performer. Even the stuff he says, it's like, it sounds absurd when he says it and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but it's like some of that dialogue is kind of cool and sort of macabre. Their beasts will serve us well. Call upon their beasts. I mean, but he just
scary
it's so
stuff.
Flat. Yeah, it's so flat.
We needed like the guy in Doctor Who plays the beast. The beast character in the what you call The Beast Below, is it called? Yeah, I think that's the name of the episode, where he's got like this crazy voice, like it's like a more demonic voice or whatever. Yeah. Ruben, what did you think of the episode? Other than loving
it's like a lot of the later TNG episodes, or the more mediocre episodes, let's call it, because I don't think this episode's bad. There's actually a point at about the 30-minute mark where it's interesting, because when they're still watching the tapes of the guy before, Spock's got some really interesting quotes and comments that he makes, and it's actually something at that point. It doesn't have any theme or any real deeper meaning, but at least it's got the sort of thrillerish, like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is creepy. It's a little bit creepy. And then they're like, it seems like, I don't know, they don't know what to do the rest of the way. They don't know how to close it out, and then it does not help that Gorgan was just like, I mean, I don't even know what to say, dude. That guy was just like, I don't know. Did he try? Did he even try?
But also, I think the costume doesn't serve him well. Like, it's like a giant bag of mumu, basically.
The whole thing, because he was terrible.
It looks like a shower curtain, actually.
Yeah. Then they said add a bunch of effects. Yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, he is the only world killer that wears flowers on his robe.
That's the leaves and the flowers. It's true. Oh my gosh, it is bizarre and weird, and I think it ages a little better because our sensibilities have changed. Like, I kind of like the absurd parts of it now. I used to hate this episode when I was a kid. Ian, what did you think of this episode?
It's a pretty nothing episode. I think is the best way to put it. It's it sort of flits between a couple things, and it's like they didn't really know what to do with it.
I like the suggestion that Allison made that they're like digging through the drawers to find whatever. Whatever.
The phrase. This could be something. It didn't really turn into anything. Screw it. This show's done for. Let's just make it.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is they tried to polish a turd as well as they could.
Oh my god!
And it was cheap.
And green.
Yeah. They only had that one set, really.
The Shatner overacting with the anxiety and all that, and I think one of the best bits is Leslie staring at Kurt, going, "What the hell are you saying?"
By the way, I couldn't help but think of David Lynch. I couldn't help but think of David Lynch in that scene, because you know how David Lynch sometimes does like the
backwards voices,
and stuff like that. So I couldn't help but think of it in that. I was like, it was one of the things that surprised me. I didn't remember that. It must have freaked me out so much as a kid. When I was a kid, I hated this episode. My dad has dementia, but I was watching it with him in the room, and he remembered something which was kind of cool. With my dad, with dementia, you have to be like, oh, are these like memories, or it can be a little dubious and stuff. But he was like, you and your sister used to cry whenever that guy came on screen because you were so scared of him. So it worked on little kids. And I remember hating this episode. I remember like freaking out. It reminded me of did you guys ever, I think Ruben remembers this, but when we were kids there was this like urban legend of like Bloody Mary, that if you said her name too many times or whatever, so like that song and how they summoned him and everything like really freaked me out as a kid. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I wouldn't even like try to say I wouldn't even try to sing it or say it or whatever, just in case like the friendly angel appeared.
And I would dress like this and stand outside his window at night.
Yeah, that helped the trauma of it as well. And then I realized that I never really, like, if it came on as a rerun or something, because of that I never really watched this episode. So like when we had to do this like discussion, I was like, okay. And I'd been putting it off because we were supposed to do this discussion like weeks ago, and so I always like to try to watch the episodes as fresh as possible. So I finally watched it, and I was really surprised at like how I didn't actually hate it. Like I didn't, I agree with all the critiques. Like I think definitely like the episode has like a lot to be desired, and if I had a chance to do it again, I think I would have done it a lot differently. Like it's one of those episodes, the rare times where I'm like, oh yeah, I feel qualified to say I can actually do this better. Like most times I don't feel that way, even when Star Trek doesn't hit the mark or whatever, but in this case it did. But at the same time, like you said, Adam, like some of the writing is very interesting. Like some of the concepts, I mean, in the chat, we'll go to the chat in a second, but in the chat, someone's pointing out how dark it is that the parents are dead and these kids don't even care. Like dark. It's like really disturbing and dark. And
what do these kids go on to do in their lives when they know that they helped murder their parents?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a really good follow-up. That's a really good follow-up story.
I mean, I quite like the thing that McCoy tries to say. It's like a form of PTSD. That bit was quite good because obviously they're just running around playing. They're running around their dead parents, all that bit. But it's dark in that respect, where you've got all these dead parents and they're just ring around Rosie,
playing, playing Ring Around the Roses. Yeah, it's true. And no, sorry, Ian, go ahead.
No, I was just to say stuff like that. So yes, it does bring dark elements into it, and they try to. I think this is one of the few times they actually try to bring the medical side in a bit more, but I think they just tend to when they get something like that, they tended to struggle, and they didn't really stick with it. And it could have gone down a real dark route if they wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned the possibility of having to kill the children if they can't, free them from this influence. And the problem, though, is that it does have all these great kind of macabre elements to it, but it doesn't it needs a little bit more of a plot to like get to a resolution. I mean, how does it resolve? It sort of resolves and with a whimper. You don't really realize it. Okay, so Kirk is resisting. He backs into the turbo lift, and then now he's somehow, I guess, with his force of will, he can resist the Gorgon. So then that's it. Everyone else is still under the influence except him and Spock. So they call him up on the tape deck and call the Gorgon back and just say, no, you're not going to have any influence over us. And he sort of melts a la the Witch and the Wizard of Oz. So I feel like that confrontation needed to be made a little bit more of, or that it should have been harder for Kirk to overcome the influence or something, but it just sort of happens.
Yeah. I think the bit I think that one of the better ones is Spock, where he's doing that bit to muster all his mental control to overcome with that bit. But that was quite a good it's swerve ball where all of a sudden he turned around and said, should we be bothering Starfleet?
Yeah.
It's nothing, it's there. And I think Kirk's surprised to that, where he says, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But those little swerve balls are quite good. But yeah, it's difficult to be overly nice to it. You can be nice and say it's not one of the worst by any means of the imagination. But
Ulysses the Pagan said, yeah, true. Ulysses the Pagan was the one who said, wasn't that a pretty dark theme for the 60s children being involved in the death of their parents? And then everyone was agreeing about how dark it is.
Yeah, it is.
The darkest part was actually volunteering to have pistachio ice cream. I mean, that's just dark. That's
one of the weirdest parts about the darkness is that, again, like Sub-Commander said it doesn't really resolve anything, because I was thinking about it. I saw the episode when we were supposed to do it last year, and then I watched it again today. So I've got this episode deep dived into this episode, and so I was just thinking, like, you could get rid of Gorgon altogether and just make it about the mystery of who killed these people, while the kids are kind of like they're traumatized by whatever happened, and they're just trying to get back to normal. When the crew eventually finds out, oh crap, it was them because something possessed them, and one of them has now brought it to the ship. And then that's kind of the resolution, and you're kind of helping the kids. It's McCoy talking to the kids, or some new psychiatrist character or something that could be talking to the kids, and you just have as little Gorgon as possible,
right?
But instead, it fizzled. It just fizzled so hardcore, and it's so sad because it could have been. Is
that the way you would have gone more, Ruben? Then it's actually not have the Gorgon in it, but actually have it.
I would have made it more about the mystery of who killed the people. Yeah. And while they're trying to give information from the kids, but the kids are traumatized. I mean, I get the imagery they were going for with the kids being happy and that kind of creepiness of it, but it just doesn't go anywhere. So it's like I don't know where they wanted to go with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think also when they play back there's the scene with Kirk where he's anxious in the cave, and obviously when they play back the tapes and the parents having that anxiety as well. I think that in conjunction with the children being in the way, I think that you could have really gone down a dark route with that one, and I think it would have probably played better.
Right, but then also giving you some sort of resolution when the kids kind of break free, because here it's like, what really happens? I don't know. It's just like, look at him, he's ugly. I'm ugly, and then that's it. Okay, and you're like, oh, okay.
Fathery, welcome to the discussion. Thanks for coming. We are glad you're here. Your shuttle has arrived, and I think you went off screen for a second to maybe fix your mic or whatever. So, yeah, we're not hearing Fathery's fixing his.
Yeah, I'm still here. You're just not hearing me because I wasn't saying anything.
I do think. I mean, they obviously they wanted the Gorgon to have more of an antagonist, and we might have liked it better if it had been a real actor portraying that part. But I do like the idea of there being this dead civilization that had once, held sway over this area of space, and because of its, I don't know, died out from revenge on its past crimes, but having some sort of echo of it. I mean, but maybe like Ruben said, it could have just been a suggestion, or like you're not sure, is it just being on this planet that makes the kids feel this way, or
Right.
rather
Or
than
you have
having it personified. But
you have some pretty good kid actors. Just make it one of these. It jumps from body to body type spirit, and let the kids have a little fun. Instead of Mr. Lawyer Man.
That's a kind of like a Wolf in the Fold a little bit, or like a Red Jack.
And it's cheaper. And it's cheaper than doing green effects on this dude.
Father, what did you all think of this episode?
Well, there's been so many things said about this one over the years. It's a quite notorious episode that I was going to propose, why don't we try to say like positive things about it? But
we have been.
I've been listening, and it sounds like y'all have already been doing that. But I mean, I think it is obviously a bad episode. I actually prefer Spock's brain over this one because, like, at least Spock's brain, it's kind of fun to like laugh at,
Hold on, hot take.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I sat there and joked about it when they're starting to do the bits. When you got Tommy going, I thought he's going to get that action just right in a few years. But, that's
someone had to bring it up. Someone had to bring it up. Yeah, that is a cringy aspect of it, because that is the universal gesture.
He's going like that, and you're thinking, okay, you're really going to get.
But do you think in the 60s? Do you think maybe that gesture hadn't come about at the time, or was it like? I don't know. I wasn't around.
I'm sure it was about.
I feel like that's been around for 10,000 years. Like, it's just. I mean, you got to think about it. Men masturbate, and that's kind of a well-known, established pattern of movement among men. So it's
I guess
like they had to have been like, do this. Yeah, but it kind of looks a little weird.
It also looks like you're smashing something, so I don't know. I think it's like
it looks like they're playing rock paper scissors.
They should have just had the fist.
But I agree. But definitely, like, I think by the 80s that was definitely not the. We were laughing at that for sure. So that was a much different expression at that time. Going from the ridiculous back to the sublime, Spock was a real standout in this episode. He was as good as he's ever been. It's true, Spock was really awesome, and he had some good lines. I like the two. I pointed him out on Twitter earlier about humans like kind of seeing what they want to see to avoid pain, and then also how easily it is to basically for like evildoers to brainwash the innocent Allison.
And that is how we can take this episode and apply it to what is happening today. Both of those things.
Absolutely. That's the part of the episode that I was actually surprised at, is how relevant that was. And I couldn't help but thinking like the dictatorial kind of like monotone, like, character, this like big imposing figure who's giving all this like propaganda about beasts and, our friends, and, we're going to go down to this planet. We're going to have millions of friends, and those who oppose us, don't worry about them. We're going to take care of them and all that.
It's going to be so good. We're going to have one of the best planets. You've never seen a planet like the planet you're about to see.
You're going to get tired of winning.
It was a little on the nose, actually, and I couldn't help but think about that. Yeah, so that is a really good point. But yeah, it was kind of scary, and it was kind of like, wow, like Star Trek does, even in these like ridiculous, like kind of silly episodes, there's always like a kernel, I think, that you can find of like meaning or something relevant that's that relates to today.
Has anyone read the novel? It was one of the Q novels. I don't know if it was the Q Conflict or Q. It had Q in the name of it, but they're kind of like the Q episodes. They're hard to remember because they're all like Q something. But it was by Peter David, who loves to play around with continuity stuff, and it had Q. John Delancey's Q from The Next Generation is basically like him and Gorgon, who's also a Q. And the God entity from Star Trek V, which was also a Q, the three of them did some shenanigans thousands of years ago that caused the Takan Empire to fall from that TNG episode, The Last Outpost.
God, yeah.
That's how the Takan Empire
and so like
falls.
they were all three punished, and Gorgon was imprisoned, and the Q thing was put. I mean the God thing was put in the center of the galaxy. Q was put off in solitaire somewhere, and so while he's like sitting in solitaire, he's like, "I'm just going to create this energy ribbon called the Nexus and send that off because I'm bored."
That's cute. Oh,
it was almost too much. Have Peter David having fun playing with the continuity.
Yeah, that's like a little. That is funny though, but that is interesting because you know we don't get too much of Gorgon in this, but he definitely exhibits like that kind of ability. I wonder if he's trying to get out of his as a retcon / headcanon thing. I wonder if the reason why he's so limited in his abilities, like he can only kind of like influence these kids and give them powers so that they can use them in a sense, because he's imprisoned, and that's why he's in that bathrobe. Maybe the shower curtain. Maybe that's his like his prison or whatever. Like his
very Stephen Kingish. It's very like or almost like a little like Eldritch horror, but like this like dark cosmic being. It's like reading into like the minds of these kids. You know, it's kind of like how It operates in Stephen King's It.
Right on. Mario Castaneda is. I'm curious, what made you all decide to discuss this episode? Like many of you, I wasn't a fan. I think Allison answered. I mean, sorry, no. Who was it? Jill answered. We do them all in order. So yeah, that's true. So we have to get through them, even the bad ones, even the ones that we don't.
Welcome to season 3.
Welcome to season 3.
One thing I will say is the best thing to come out of this is Craig Huxley, who plays Tommy, because he actually comes back and he brings that instrument that they use in
the blaster beat,
the motion picture. In the soundtrack of the motion picture, he's a musician, and he brought the
V'ger sound.
String. And he uses that sound that they used in the motion picture. That actually is Craig Huxley, who plays Tommy.
Yeah. It's in Star Trek 2 and 3 as well. Yeah, he was actually a musician at the time. He had released some albums as they were like jazz kind of albums, in addition to sort of being an actor. But yeah, no, I don't know how we got that gig with working with Jerry Goldsmith to use.
That's Jerry Goldsmith anyway. Jerry Goldsmith liked to experiment with the sounds, didn't he?
Yeah, you're right.
It was always his thing, was trying to find some new instrument or something, and that was just Jerry Goldsmith.
Is Tommy? I could be wrong. Is Tommy the same boy, who was the officer in the Siege of AR 558?
No, that's Bill Mummy. He was from Lost in Space.
Yeah,
he was Will Robinson. He's on Twilight Zone too, and Babylon 5. He's Lenore in B5.
That's it.
I can't remember the name of the young actor, but one of the actors. Let me see if I can find it.
Brian Yoshi, who went on to like
Next Generation.
Next Generation and Revenge of the Nerds and some terrible 80s
That's
movies.
Right, I forgot about it.
Yeah, Gung Ho, I think he was in. I can't remember. Yeah, but he was in a bunch of.
Brian Tochi,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too.
He was.
That's awesome. Good call.
So yeah, he comes back in Night Terrors, the TNG episode. That's pretty cool. I guess also it says here they were him and Pamela Ferdin were later reunited in Space Academy, a live-action Saturday morning television series produced by Filmation, which aired on CBS from 1977 to 1979. So not much of a date. Also, a little quick thing: every single main character is in this episode. So you have the whole all 7 of them
including
are in this episode.
Mr. Leslie is also
yeah, and actually we have I was waiting. Yeah. Mr. Leslie is super helpful in this.
And Chapel's in this one too.
Yeah, Chapel's in this one too.
Yeah.
It was an all-star studded cast because they saved enough money that they were like, oh, we could put more people in this episode.
She kind of has more to do in season 3. There's more Christine Chapel, and then they continue that trend into the animated series. She's more prominent in the animated series as well.
Yeah. I didn't realize Leslie is actually in more episodes than Sulu or Chekhov.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
What is it, like 57 or 47 episodes?
Because obviously it was I was watching on YouTube, and obviously unfortunately he left us last year. But yeah, in one of it was actually stated that he was in more episodes than Sulu or Chekhov.
Yeah. Well, he was primarily, I think, Shatner's lighting stand-in, but they often used those guys to just be in the background. But he spoke a couple times. He had a couple moments where he spoke, and at least he's got a nice close-up in this one, where he keeps that just
that scene
dead on face.
That
he also died in obsessions
and come back as well.
And he comes back.
Yeah,
he claims there was a deleted scene that explained that.
I've read that too. I don't know how serious. Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell. Was his Jake as he was saying that? It might have been something in the script.
It was in the script, but it was never shot.
Yeah,
so not technically a deleted scene, but it was in the shooting script that they were using, and then they decided they didn't need that, and they never shot it.
Okay. Mr. Leslie, I didn't understand that. So he can't understand Kirk because Kirk's speaking backwards or whatever, or gibberish, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's just but he's not reacting to him at all. He's just standing there letting Kirk shake him. And I would be
weird.
I would be like, "Yo, Captain, I can't understand you. What are you saying?"
See, that's how Mr. Leslie always follows orders. So
it felt kind of like, oh yeah, it's season 3, and no one really cares anymore. And they're like, let's just get the shot and move on. Like, who the hell? We got kids eating ice cream, dude in a shower curtain. Just who the hell cares? I want to get out by 5.
For real.
Yeah. My back's really hurting. I really do need to get going.
The Devil Wears a Muumuu is pointing out that TOS is such a great show that we can talk about one of the worst episodes for an hour. Yay! And then Mario agrees, even a bad episode is far better than a lot out there. It's true. TOS, Father says this a lot, and it's true. Even the ones that are quote unquote bad are actually not bad. I enjoy watching that. Yeah, they're entertaining at least.
It's not an episode of forgive me. Sometimes with TNG where and it's just kind of like a technical thing, and it kind of sort of goes along and does its thing. Okay, it's done, and you were bored for 4 minutes. But at least here, you can enjoy the performances for what for being over the top, or being the costumes for being crazy, or there's always something kind of at least interesting about it.
Yeah. The only other bit I have to say is the kids' boots were all too shiny. If I was that age, my boots would never have been that shiny.
They were too clean in general. Shine on them.
They were way too clean in general. A bunch of kids alone on a dirty
stick
planet.
To those future materials.
Yeah, that's true.
The Devil Wears a Muumuu says, it seemed like they didn't know the parents were dead. One of the kids was on the ship talking about them like they are still alive. Yeah, that's a good point. There was some ambiguity about that.
Tommy, wasn't it? When Kirk is questioning Tommy, he's just saying, he said, well, they love it down there. They're there. So it was like it never hit their consciousness that they were dead. Yeah.
It's clear that Gorgon has the power of illusion. So they do the knives on the screen, and they're able to show, using his power somehow, they're able to show everyone that they're still orbiting the planet and stuff like that. So maybe they actually didn't realize what was going on. They were under his spell so much that he was able to even block that part of their minds. And maybe that's probably why McCoy, I wonder if Counselor Troy would have taken a different approach than let's make these kids cry, that they have to but at the same time, maybe that's what needed to just how Kirk kind of was able to break free from the brainwashing with a powerful kind of emotion, a powerful moment where he was for Kirk, losing control or losing command is the worst.
Big trigger.
Yeah,
it's like how he got over the spores.
Yeah, it's how he got over the spores. Yeah, exactly. So for him, losing the Enterprise, all of that, it's that's too much to bear, and that's what broke him out of his spell. So maybe for the kids finally seeing their parents and them playing, unlocked the true memory of how much they love their parents and the fact that they are dead. And I think that's dark still, but it's also interesting. Ruben brought that up. It's I would kind of I wonder if there's a novel that follows up on these guys. it's interesting. Like, what happened to them afterwards? What did they all become in the Star Trek universe? I have to admit, I cried like a little baby in the scene when the kids are crying and seeing their parents, because it hits differently now. When you're a kid, that's like whatever. Like, it's like you're like, oh, you don't really understand that. But having lost people, older people, and stuff like that. I was like, wow, yeah, it's like pretty heavy. Like, so I thought that was a good moment, and I was surprised that I was like as emotionally moved by it as I was. Again, remembering that this was like not a great episode. So
despite it not being a great episode, though, there's still kind of a meaning. There's still kind of a message to it where, like, unlike the hit show The Expanse, this show is actually like about something. Like, there's like
wow, here we go. By the way,
a meaning to it.
Just FYI, we'll have to talk about this on another stream. This is not the stream for it, but I will just say, in defense of the Expanse's gravity thing from last night, I'll send you an article. I was actually pretty on the nose about all the gravity stuff that we talked about last night. But anyways, thanks for the attack on the Expanse. Now carry on with what you were saying.
I mean, like the moral of the story is that like you have to process grief. It's not something that you can ignore. That is part of the human experience that we all go through. That I often say it is the worst part of the human experience is the death of a loved one, but that's something that happens to all of us, and you can't deny it, and want to go play around and do Ring Around the Rosie and eat ice cream or whatever the hell their plan was when they go on their paradise planet or whatever. It's like, no, you have to accept it. And man, this is like, I was just like at a funeral this morning, so this is like really weird that I'm talking about this right now. But
I was wondering how you feel about it.
But you have to accept it and come to terms with it, and only then when you process it and let the tears flow and experience that grief, only then can you move forward and begin to heal from it and go on with life.
Absolutely.
Right on, Fathery. Let's see. Was my mom? Did she pop into the stream? I didn't realize. I didn't see her. She might be watching actually as we speak. So hello,
Starfleet mom.
Yeah, Starfleet mom.
Starfleet mom. Yeah.
There's actually a Starfleet mom account. She was like, when I first joined Twitter, I guess she saw my screen name and she was like, hey, and we became friends since then. So there's actually a Starfleet mom who is my pretend mom online, and then there's a Starfleet dad recently also. That's like my pretend dad.
Sounds familiar.
We lost Robbie for a second, but I think he's back, or he'll be back.
We beamed him down to the planet, but there is no planet.
Oh,
no, okay,
that was back. So dark too. The fact that like Kirk's like
are dead.
Yeah, and actually I thought of Discovery because we actually see people getting beamed out into space in Discovery. So like I was like, oh no, that scene that totally happened to these guys. Like it's crazy.
But that's not the first time that's happened, is it? This is the second time I think this has happened.
Well, they beamed the Wolf in the Fold guy Hengist out into space.
Yeah, they've done that, but I swear that they've gone somewhere to beam. Maybe I'm mixing.
Maybe you're thinking of Disco. You're probably thinking of that Disco episode in the Mirror Universe.
Maybe what it is, but yeah, I think it's not the only time that's happened. But,
I'm sure it's not the
only time. I've watched this episode far too many times.
Chris Collins is here and he says, did Gorgon get its name by mashing up the name of two species in the original series? Like I feel like they put Gorn and Klingon Chancellor Gorkon's names together to make Gorgon. Well, Chancellor Gorkon didn't exist yet, but I think
always
Gorgon's
thought
from
it was like a play
mythology?
on Gorgon, like the Greek Medusa thing.
Which is weird because we have a Medusan in the episode that aired the next week.
They were like, whatever, name him Gorgon. But he doesn't turn into a stone. Whatever.
Oh, here we go. A Gorgon is three sisters with snake hair. So Medusa is one of the Gorgons. Is a Gorgon. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Gorgon.
Yeah.
It's like people in the Northeast, they call Oregon or how do they say it? Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon. Go ahead, Allison.
Melvin Belli's middle name was Moron. Mouron. So maybe that has something to do with it.
That's unfortunate.
His middle name was really
You're making that up, Allison.
No, that was his mother's maiden name. That was his mother's maiden name. But
Oh, wow.
Gorgon sounds.
And now we have the Moron family.
It might be Moran. It might be Moran because we had a Mrs. Moran. Remember we had a Mrs. Moran librarian in elementary school. So maybe it was like, and I don't remember how she spelled it, but it was. I remember everyone said Mrs. Moron, and she's like, no, it's Moran, even though it had an O. So I don't know.
I think it must have been. I think it must have been a Greek mythology reference because they're pretty explicit about calling him ugly at the end of it, and the whole idea with the Gorgon is you couldn't look at them because they were too fearsome to look at or ugly to look at. So I don't know, but yeah, it's spelled differently. But
Yeah,
I did notice though when he was starting to melt.
it's an easy logical step,
yeah,
to name the character.
I did notice though when he was starting to melt that Donald Trump, obviously they did steal Donald Trump's wig for it because he did look like.
I always thought Donald Trump does a comb over. I didn't know it was a wig.
It's either that or Boris Johnson, one of the two. I mean, they're both awful hair.
Oh, Boris Johnson could.
They
play this role
all
too,
three of them shop at the same wig shop, I guess.
I'm reading in the novelization, Sulu sees missiles, not swords. Interesting, Cold War. Yeah, and the swords kind of tie into Sulu a little bit, but
I should have said the fencing foils.
yeah, the fencing foils. Yeah.
I got swords on the brain.
Oh my gosh.
Boris and Trump met when they both went to buy the original wig from this episode.
I think this character Gorgon is ripe to be on Lower Decks. I think he totally should come back.
Totally.
There's like a total Lower Decks character that could come
Yeah, that's
back.
a low hanging fruit.
Yeah, like I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
Really is, yeah.
Oh yes, Chris points this out. There's a good bit of trivia. Is this the first time we see the United Federation of Planets banner in the episode? I don't recall.
I thought
It is
so. You said
the first
second
and last.
episode.
What's that?
Well, it's the only time we see this banner. I mean, we see, I think, some flags in the
That look like the
room.
UN flag. Yeah, but this is the
Yeah.
first time we see the full UFP.
And it
and,
does.
and last,
yeah.
as Father said. Yeah.
This more traditional version, which I think first appeared on the technical manual.
Yeah.
Right.
The one that had like the man and the woman's faces looking at each other in the
the
70s.
Franz Josef technical manual. Yeah.
I have it somewhere. Hold on.
Oh gosh.
And then they used that idea and that informed how it looked in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and then Berman era Star Trek has used that, and then all to this very day that's a similar style of what the Federation flag looks like in all the modern shows.
that you also get the full uniform color code. There's so many colors in the uniforms, so it's pretty cool. And it's a color insert. Like it's like back then they would put in like a magazine quality piece of page within the other pages. It was very cool. And if you like typefaces, you can actually recreate the typeface style. And I used to use this as a kid to do illustrations in the Star Trek typeface style. So yeah, I love this book. I've had this since I was a wee bairn.
You've just got it recently then, so it's not too bad.
Oh, thank you, and you're always welcome on this show. I appreciate it.
Flattery of me anyway, yeah.
That's all you have to do is tell me I look like a kid. Let's see here. I think anything else you guys want to say about this episode?
I think, well,
I mean, we had a really lively discussion. It was a really fun discussion.
Yeah.
I think the planet name is very cool, Triacus. I've always liked the name of that planet, but
also the one they're going to. What was it called?
Marcus
12 or something like that.
Marcus 12. Yeah.
Yeah, those were cool.
Yeah.
I think I got everything out that I wanted to say about this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and give this episode a 7. I think it was pretty enjoyable. even if it's not that great and nothing really happens and it's not an episode that I would necessarily go and watch intentionally, when it's on next time, I will watch it and I will enjoy laughing at Melvin Belly and remembering this discussion. So yeah, it was actually, I'm going to lower it to a 6.5. That's more fair. And I know, yeah, yes, okay. It's pounding, not the other thing. Although, whatever. Anyways, that's After Dark territory. Who wants to? Ruben, why don't you tell us what you think and give us a little rating for it if you like. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Ruben.
You're on mute.
All right. All right. It had potential like a lot of other TNG episodes. It could have gone somewhere. It went kind of nowhere, but I don't remember hating this episode when I was a kid, and I still found it kind of enjoyable now. It does resolve itself too tidy too, which is a kind of a thing with the bad TNG episode or TOS episodes of this time. So all I have to say is, friends, we have reached a moment of crisis. The enemy have discovered our operation, but they are too late. They are no longer control the ship. We do. We shall prevail. They will take us any place we desire. So back to your stations. Maintain your controls. If resistance mounts, call upon their beast. Their beast will serve us well. The fear in each of them is the beast which will consume him. Remember how it was on Triacus. If they resist, so shall it be on the Enterprise.
I feel like we should remaster this episode again and put Ruben, just like what they did with Anakin in Return of the Jedi. We should put Ruben in this role and just have him do that again. That was really nice, Ruben. Would you give this a rating of any kind? You don't have to.
I give it all my children.
Okay. That's an interesting rating. Father, would you like to go next?
Oh, thank God for that. It's normally you have me to follow that.
I don't think this episode is very good at all, but it's still better than 50% of the Star Wars franchise. So.
Thanks for not going after The Expanse again.
I think The Expanse is a good show. It's just there's no substance. So it's a show that's not about anything. It's good drama, good action.
That's Seinfeld's premise, by the way.
But as far as what I would rate this episode, I think when I really weigh everything objectively and try to give an honest score to it, I probably would end up Slegna Lufil Netfoltor Murex shit for
that would be a 6.5 from Father. I've broken through. No, I don't know. Very nice, very nice. Robbie, tell us what you thought and give us a rating if you like.
I didn't hate it, but I really don't have much to say. 3 out of 10, and I agree with Favre about The Expanse.
Wow! Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to have I feel like we have to have a side Expanse discussion soon. Trek on the Tube and I are going to be doing something after the finale, so maybe you guys can come and hang out with us. Dadmiral, what did you think? And please feel free to give us a rating.
Yeah, again, I think it's a nothing episode. It's I actually quite like the premise that we were talking about earlier, that it would have been better if it had gone darker. I know it's fairly dark as it was, but if they'd gone down the darker route, I think it would have been more interesting, more entertaining. As I said, it's not a bad episode, but it's a nothing average episode. But again, like Adam said, I could watch this over a lot of the episodes of the first season of TNG, first 3 seasons of TNG. But I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Right on. Allison, would you care to give us some final thoughts and a rating if you would mind?
I would give it a 5 also, but in the scheme of things for season 3, it might have been a 6.5 if you were rating season 3 episodes. But you must, for The Expanse, you must remember that this is the last season of The Expanse also. So maybe they're in the file cabinets looking for episodes too. Who knows what the problem
is. I don't want it to end. I'm very upset. But we won't talk about The Expanse too much here. What was that?
All good things.
I think they've got a prequel. I think they've got a prequel show coming. Apparently.
There's stuff, yeah, and there's more books or something. So yeah, it's interesting. Again, I don't want to talk about it on the TOS discussion. Sub Commander, what do you have to say?
Welcome to our casual and informal conversation about TOS and occasional comments about The Expanse.
My thoughts on The Expanse. No, I've never seen The Expanse. Yeah, so when I do these ratings,
you stirred it up.
I've never seen that show. I've heard good things, but I guess when I do ratings, it's always like within the TOS realm. So how will I give this as a TOS episode? And as a TOS episode, this is like a 3 at best for me, maybe even a 2. I mean, I think I've, there's stuff, as I pointed out, that is interesting about it or that I like about it. But if I was going to introduce the original series to someone for the first time, this would be, probably in the bottom 4 or 5 episodes that I would pick to have to show
this
them,
might scare people away if you show them this episode. So it's better
so.
Yeah, no, don't start on this one.
Yeah. Don't ever start on
this one.
Definitely Cat's Paw before this.
Ulysses in the chat gave it a 4 out of 10, and Jill, the Devil Wears a Moo 4 for the episode, but a 9.5 for Spock's part of it. What a Spock stan you are! I love it. And then 10 out of 10 for The Expanse and every character except Miller. And then Blue is saying 4 out of 10 for me, but 10 out of 10 for 2. I'm going to lower my rating down to a 6. Like, I feel like, I was a little hyperbolic to go to there we go.
Heaven forbid you'll get near a 5.
That was a really fun discussion, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Everyone, please go check out Sub Commander Tall on Twitter. Same handle. Allison can be found on Twitter as well as Recycle Girl, right? Did I get your screen name right?
Yep. I
Excellent.
started my Twitter page back in 2009 as a recycling thing, but nobody's recycling during a pandemic, so I hardly do anything like that anymore.
We still
recycling the old TV show here. So.
Yeah, that's it.
We're also going to start composting.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, composting is great. When I lived in Seattle, like there's a huge compost culture there, even in the city of like little compost bins and stuff like that. And so it's a pretty cool thing. Highly recommend it. We don't compost here. Yeah, it's a good point. I'm going to see if my parents can and family can get into it. Thank you, Ruben. And then you can check out Ian, we don't have a trailer today, do we?
No, I haven't done anything on the channel for a little while. I think I'm going to leave it until when I get back from the cruise.
Oh, right on. Which fingers crossed.
Well, if all goes well, I mean, I've commissioned my latest cosplay uniform.
Sweet.
That got commissioned yesterday. If you follow me on Twitter, I did do quite a few Lego builds over the bit. I mean, primarily, I don't know if we can turn it and see, but we did there. You can just let's move those out of the way. You can just see the Enterprise and the Reliant.
We saw those. I saw those on Twitter. Those are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, the Enterprise B I did, and the last one was the Batmobile. From the Michael Keaton.
I saw that film. Too. That and it had over 1,000 pieces, I think you said, or something.
18.
Like that.
That was 18. Just about 1,800. There is another one which is about 3,500 that I really wouldn't mind building, but I've got a few more Star Trek ones to do. I've got a bigger refit Enterprise to do, which is about 2,500. Which those are ones just for me. That won't be for the channel, but I will be going back. But I think we've got I'm concentrating. I'm trying to get everything ready for the cruise because obviously I'm flying out to the States. I've got my flight booked, hotel booked, and
I'm so excited.
I'll be seeing you on the Friday when I get into
that's
into the
great.
States. So yeah, so Father E is also going on the cruise. So
yep.
You guys could do a collab. Trek-Sphere. Are you guys the only ones from Trek-Sphere that are going to be on the cruise that you know of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool. So, by the way, both
unless somebody's keeping it to themselves and they're going to surprise
us. Both Ian and Father are members of the Trek-Sphere Network, so you can check out the Trek-Sphere Network. Little promo for them, and I guess we'll keep an eye out on any coverage you guys might provide from the cruise. That'll be really fun.
Oh, I'm getting the internet package, so that will give me a bit. So. There will be plenty.
So that means I shouldn't get it, and I should just follow you around and use your internet.
Capital idea. That's very good.
No, I'm probably gonna get it too, even though I've heard that it's not great.
That fast.
It's good. It's good for messaging. It's not good for if you're going
streaming
to
and stuff
watch
like that.
Netflix or upload pictures. Then it's not good. But if you just want to check Twitter, it can do that.
Nice, right?
Yeah, I think Twitter, WhatsApp, that type of thing, it will be fine. It's sort of, but yeah, I think for anything else, it's not going to be fantastic.
Coming up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Alice.
I would like to see a Dropbox full of all your pictures of all your costumes, especially from the Dixon Hill nighttime activity. I'm looking for
Roaring Holodeck. It's the Roaring Holodeck. So yeah, that's going to be I've got a fedora and a pinstripe suit and everything for that one. So yeah, that will be. There's, as I said, there's we've got a few weeks before we go, but there's a theme night every night. So, and I do have an outfit for every theme night.
That's awesome.
Get your toga ready.
That's on the way. I'm waiting for it to be delivered on one.
I'm just gonna make one out of the bed sheets in the cabin. I think.
Right on. I love it.
I believe it. I've actually got one, and it's got a purple. It's got like the command red bit that goes down, a bit like Discovery that goes right down that bit.
Oh, you're gonna be walking around like you're the Emperor of Rome.
Oh, it'll be Toga Admiral. That's what it'll be.
That's awesome.
Classes from Plato's Stepchildren.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's favorite character.
Not so far from now.
It's the Gorn Toga Party, which is really odd. It's the Gorn's Toga Party. So yeah, I think you'll see a couple of Gorns.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear the Gorn's dress from Arena.
Oh, I like that. That's an awesome.
I wonder if I could make that. I have.
You probably could. It's not. I can't imagine that's too hard.
A month and a half. Yeah, you could totally be possible.
Oh my god, I would love that. In just a little bit, you can check out Earl Grey Trekkie's YouTube channel. Live in about 30 minutes, we're going to be talking about the Doctor Who episode Silence in the Library, part 1 of a 2-parter with River Song. I'm very excited about that, so go check him out. There anything else, Robbie, you got to promote?
No.
All right, cool. Ruben can be found at ruben-writes.com, which he never updates, so actually go to popaxiom.com and Rumorg and check it out.
Twitter,
anything
just at rmartian on Twitter,
or at rmartian on Twitter.
Social
and what's your latest thing that you've got going on? Anything you want to promote?
I posted 2 interviews this week. One with Giselle Jimenez, who's on Dexter New Blood, and the other with Aaron Dalla Villa, who is in a movie called Alpha Rift with Lance Henriksen from Aliens.
Oh.
More interviews coming. Just follow me on Twitter and you will see them eventually.
Very, very cool.
Martian.
Fathery, before you give some information about your channel and what you're doing this week, Ulysses says, Fathery, that's why Spock did a disservice to Kirk with removing his feelings for Reyna. loss, I agree, is part of the human experience.
We don't know how many times Spock did that to him. Either. Like every time Kirk fell in love, Spock might have just been like, forget.
If this were After Dark, I would have some jokes.
We might have to talk about it on After Dark. It might happen. And yes, we're only talking about part 1 because Robbie doesn't want to do the discussions too long, so we're splitting in 2 parts. So sorry if you were hoping for both, but I'm going to try to keep everyone on track because I just saw part 1 really fresh, but I'm sure we'll bleed into part 2 a little bit. Father, what's going on Text Trek and what's going on? What do you've got to promote this week?
I gotta go.
Okay.
Sorry.
Bye, Allison. No, thanks for sticking around for an hour. I'll chat you later. It was so nice. Thanks for coming on.
I just followed you on Twitter, Allison.
Yay! Everyone follow everyone on Twitter. Go ahead, Fathery.
We are covering every episode of Star Trek Prodigy every Friday night, 7 p.m. Central, live on YouTube, and then you can listen to those wherever you get your podcast. That's available either late Sunday night or early Monday morning. But yeah, we're going to do the traditional Text Trek deep dive, take a deep look at everything. And we'll be doing that for Discovery Season 4 again, starting February 10th. And then we'll also be covering Picard and Lower Decks and everything else Star Trek coming out this year.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. On Starfleet Boy, we are back to, as you can see, our TOS discussions. So we'll be back next week with In Truth. What is it?
Is there In Truth No Beauty? There really needs to be a comma in there somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
2 of them. Yeah.
The return of Diana Muldaur, the introduction of the Medusans, very exciting stuff, especially since Prodigy has a Medusan character. Maybe we'll glean some insight from rewatching.
And you're doing something on Sundays now, too.
Yeah, and so starting tomorrow, Father and I are going to get together and we're going to talk about Star Trek Picard. We're going to do a watch-along, actually, so we'll be doing like a fan commentary thing, so come check it out. We'll have a couple special guests. Well, we'll have one special guest every now and then, who I won't say who it is, but he's here in this panel. And then we're just going to have a lot of fun talking about Star Trek Picard without any haters on the stream, so it'll be really fun. Ruben. No, I'm just kidding. Like, sorry.
I don't know who Ruben is. I'm Gorgon. Nice
Gorgon. That's right. Yeah. Also tonight, if you guys love the Book of Boba Fett, tonight around 8:30, 9 p.m. Eastern time, Kevin of 9 from Drunk Space 9, half of the Drunk Space 9 duo, and I are going to go super deep dive on the Book of Boba Fett. He loves Star Wars, and actually we got a really nice treat with Fathery and Dom telling us all their Star Wars knowledge last night, so that was cool too. We also talked about it last night on Starfleet Boy After Dark, so check that out if you like. I think I caught everything. So and then on Sunday also in the afternoon I'll be on Trek Central. I'm really excited about that, so go check out the Trek Central stream as well. So that's all we got going.
I'd just like to thank Ruben and Robbie for actually being the only clean-shaven ones here.
Oh yeah, look at that.
There's a question in the chat there. Starfleet.
How many episodes will we cover in tomorrow's Picard? Just the first, right, Father? We're doing one a week.
Yeah, we're not going to do all 3.
Yeah, because it's the first 3 are kind of like one big part. That's true. But yeah, we'll do one a week.
I mean, yeah. Let's not try to. I mean, it would take like 2 hours, 15 minutes probably to watch like all 3 of those back to back to back. But...
Yeah, a little more than that because like aren't they all like 40? Oh yeah, you're right.
They're all around like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Text Trek episode reviews are the best. That is true. Go check them out.
Thank you. It's always very kind.
All right, everybody, live long and prosper, and we will see you next time. Thank you.